Episode 58. Welcome. Hi, what you doing? Nothing drives me more mad when my kids go, what you doing? What does it look like I'm doing? I'm working so I can buy you skis, you little trollops. Anyway, welcome to another episode of the Tea and Trails podcast.
It is episode 58, and this week we chat with Jack Scott, winner of the 2024 Winter Spine Race and new course record holder too. Patreon Matt gets some advice from the coaches regarding footwear choice. Yeah, the kind of a mix-up, not quite a traditional Tales from the Trails, but we do have a Tales from the Trails, and we pop over to our Strava club and we share our weekly deets.
Also, we have loads of partners who share some discount codes with our patrons. We have Precision Fuel and Hydration, Tiki Boo, Mountain Fuel, Outdoor Active, Villa Forte, Silver Sweden, Active Route, The Centurion Running Store, Protein Rebels, SportShoes.com, Big Bubble Hats, X Miles, Faunsign Farm Cottages, Yugogu Projects, Red Bear Sports, The Album App, Retainer Group Cycle Protection, Summit Crazy, and Ultra Trail. If you'd like to save some money and support the podcast and our partners, then please consider joining Patreon. Couldn't do this without you. Also, pop over to Summit Crazy if you'd like to buy some Tea and Trails merch. We're rocking the merch today.
Yeah.
I don't wear my hoodie much because I find it a bit scary wearing it, even though nobody in France would know what this was. I just find it a bit like, I don't know, but I love wearing it.
Hoodie, got a little hole under my armpit.
Oh, cheap merch.
I think it's me getting a bit optimistic with my size and when I miss the odd.
They do come up a bit small, don't they? They are a bit small if anyone's looking to getting a hoodie. I don't know what size I've got. Oh, probably a 6 or a 4. I've definitely got an XXS.
Thank you to Precision Fuel and Hydration for sponsoring this week's show. And if you sign up for their weekly email drop, you will get a lovely, informative email each week. And this week, I noticed a little takeaway about how you can see if you are a salty sweater. So you don't need to go and get the physical salt test. You can just get your dog and see if he likes licking you. Well, I always thought because did I tell you I did the Dragon's Back race? I always thought I wasn't a salty sweater. Because how the hell did I get? I've missed the joke anymore.
You should not say, get your dog and see if he likes licking you.
Well, Rex does like licking me, and he went in hard.
Licking your legs, Gary. It all sounds all wrong.
So anyway, just how enthusiastic Rex is when I come back from a run. I think I am a salty sweater.
Yeah, I don't have any skin on show for the dogs to approach. And if I did, I wouldn't let them anywhere near me because I know exactly where they're filthy little mouths have been, the dirty dogs. If you are a patron, you get 15% off any Precision Fuel and Hydration products. And anybody who listens to this podcast, you guys, you mad guys, you get 15% off your first order with the code CAPSLOCK T24. Super simple, T24. Talking about tea, Gary, we chatted so much before we pressed record. My tea is halfway done.
Go on.
Oh, my life. This is nervous times, everybody. Anyway, if you're just settling in for your run, if you're just starting a long journey, if you're doing some boring tax return, you're late, you're going to get fined, get your head down, get it done. Gary?
You know what I found was interesting? I was late with a VAT return once, and I just thought, oh, Christ, I'm going to get a fine here. But you get a few strikes before you get a fine. I'm not too sure if that's the same with the self-assessment, because I did get that one in on time.
Don't tell Bryn because I was a day late with my tax return. What does this mean? What does this mean?
You might get a strike because, like I say, with my VAT return, I got a strike. I think it was like 3 strikes and then you get a fine. I'm not too sure.
I'm pretty sure I've been late. Why? I have the whole year to do it.
That's
I have
crazy.
the whole year to do it. And I keep accounts on the spreadsheet. So it doesn't take me very long, Gary.
Yeah.
But oh no, I leave it. Anyway, I've got something I'm going to talk about that later. First of all, let's talk about you. Let's deep dive into who is Gary.
Oh.
Where are you? What's going on?
Well, like I said last week, the sessions did change, but only the 400s. We introduced, could have been 10 400s, so not a huge session, but I did them on the trails I'm not 100% sure why I did them on the trails.
You were trying to hide from the session. That's what we all do, Gary. We do it uphill or we do it on
I think there's a lot of that going on with my training at the moment. Definitely these incline treadmill runs, they don't give you the full dates. But yeah, we did the 400s. The heart rate was in the right place, but the speed, because it was more like a cross country in sections of it. So we did it, and we did a Thursday 2020. And this is why I felt I wish I was a little bit fitter after 6 weeks of marathon training, because that last 20, the two guys in front of me drifted off. Part of me says, well, I kept my heart rate in the zone 4, so that was appropriate for the session, but it was still felt quite tough for the pace I was running. So yeah, came away from that feeling a little bit down the dumps, and maybe a little reality check for what's in store come Manchester. 10 weeks to go, so there is plenty of time.
You've got loads more time than me, Gary.
I mentioned off air, I think a lot of my downfall is I'm not really nutritioning properly, either the food choices I make or going into sessions, I'm not fueling correctly. So, and also my portion control is off the chart, and I'm about 70% bread, 10% potato, 10% vegetable, and the rest is protein. So it's not great. It's not great. But then on Sunday, so I did three quality sessions. Actually, I did a trail fartlek on Sunday, which I kept it super simple. Just apply the effort on the hills and that jog everything in between. But I took my Lecky poles because I've kind of neglected them, and I'm figuring, well, maybe Lakeland 100, or if I do the 13 valleys, then there'll be some pole action going on there. And I was expecting like achy triceps, achy triceps, and achy shoulders. But yeah, I'm happy to report no dramas. And again, I just think, although the effort's there, the heart rate is going the right place, I'm not doing any benchmarking. This is how fast I can run, say, on a flattish surface, apart from that 2020. And I wasn't too happy with it. Oh, the news, YouTube success, my TIMP 5 review.
Yeah, it's so good, Gary.
You like it?
Well, I almost was a little bit pervy on it, Gary, because I was like, this is so good. Oh, Gary's legs. I don't think I've seen your legs before, Gary, in such close-up, high resolution.
Okay.
I was like, Gary, this is smooth riding this. I'm enjoying this a little bit too much. The trainer's good too. The trainer looks nice.
Trainer looks lovely too. Well, maybe that's why lots of people have watched it. But I say lots of people. It's not exactly Mr. Beast level of downloads, but for my little channel, it was the first time I've watched a video, and I was watching the deets in the back end of YouTube, and I could see the numbers click up before my eyes when people were watching. I've never experienced.
Oh, terrifying. It's the legs, Gary. Your legs need to feature on every YouTube, but just start with the legs, finish with the legs, middle portion of the legs.
Well, I do have, you have this graph of retention, and initially the retention drops off a cliff. So I need to maybe I get the legs out straight away next week. I'll get the legs out straight away. But yeah, it's quite seductive and intoxicating when you have a little bit of success over there. You just want more of it.
Can you, imagine if you are like, I know you're a big YouTuber. I know, but imagine your co-workers as well. Like if you're like one of those it must be become like an addictive. I just stay well clear.
And especially, I listened to the what's the podcast called, where the Daily Stoic, and he said, I'm not comparing myself to this guy whatsoever. He's got an enormous network, sells books, a huge podcast, but he basically handed over the control of his social media because it was just too, I think, corrosive for him just to keep dipping in and checking.
When I'm a celebrity, Gary, that is exactly, I would love somebody to make my Instagram good and do stuff with it. I don't want to do it because I could go down that rabbit hole too. I don't want to be validated by people I don't know looking at a picture. My kids are desperate. Not my kids. My eldest wants to have Instagram. I said, you find me a study which says social media for teenagers is a healthy, worthwhile project and you can have it, but until then you're not having it because there's no. So then I'm like, so I have to be a role model. I have to be a role model and be like, well, you can look at mine, there's nothing on it that I wouldn't show you. So again, I have to think that. like the podcast. But I also have to be like, so that's why I took it. One of the reasons why I don't look at it in front of them as well, because I think I can't be that person going, oh, it's really bad for you. I also, this is totally digressing, but I also read about especially sporty kids having their sports injuries being heightened because they do a lot of sport and then they're curving their spine looking at their phones all the time, like in bus journeys and stuff. So I'm really strict with my kids about they're not allowed to get their phones out like in cars and journeys and stuff, because I'm like, you're sitting like that hunched, you've gone and you've skied for 4 hours and then you're going straight and you're crushing your spine together. And I watch people at the gym. Do you do that? They do like these mega weights. They're asking, and then they sit down and they hunch down on their phone for like the 3-minute rest or whatever.
Well,
I'm like,
I'm probably that guy.
No, Gary, don't do it. Put your phone away.
How do you feel if your children listen to a song and the F-bomb comes into the song? You okay with that?
Well, in France, the F-bomb is allowed to be played on the radio and it doesn't get edited out. So there's a lot of I'm driving. They're singing. You said this. My 8-year-old girl is singing, I'm going to go down the club and get... And I'm like... She doesn't know what she's singing, and I just have to be like, I'm like, let it go, let it go. The F word in France is not as bad as it is to us in English. Okay. Like they say it quite like
just throw it out there.
It's just they throw it out there, and I'm like, what? I also have a low tolerance for swear as well. So I'm like,
well, Esme was listening to this band called The Last Dinner Party, and I initially was quite smug because I listened to The Last Dinner Party before my daughter did, and then it was like, oh yeah, it's kind of validated my musical taste. And there's a song, I think it's called Nothing Matters, but the lyric is, and this, bearing in mind, this is my teenage daughter singing this, I will F you like nothing matters in the kitchen when she was making dinner, and I was like, oh my goodness me, I did what any liberal young parent would do and just got the hell out of there as soon as possible.
I'm with it. I'm cool. Let's take this.
But yeah, very good song apart from the language. Sunday party tea. I enjoy a party tea on Sunday.
What's on your menu? I love party tea.
I made a nice ciabatta sandwich. Everybody had a sandwich. Then we had a quiche. Samosas were on there. Not samosas, sorry, bhajis, onion bhajis, dips and little carrots and cucumber sticks. There was a few other bits and bobs too. So yeah, we enjoyed that watching Traitors, but I am over Traitors, Eddie. Sorry.
You've overdone it. It's fine. I'm with you. I haven't even, we've not finished and we've managed to not know who's won the second series.
Well, Esme said she knows who wins the second, and we were like on episode 3. She spoiled it for us. Well, I think social media unwittingly spoiled it for her.
Yeah, there we go.
But what I found with the second episode, the second series, I'm not going to spoil anything, but it's a completely different dynamic to the first series so far. I'm enjoying that. But the first series for me, and I don't think this is spoiling it, there was no science or detective work until quite late on. It was just basically a popularity contest. And that was what determined who got voted off. So I found it quite annoying as a social experiment that we're just idiots.
I think it's good for the kids because you're like, you see, they're all following, they're all going with the... It's good. I think Series 2 gets better. Hang in there, Garrett. You've got to finish it now.
Well, it's our family viewing. So although I said I'm not watching another one of these, I'm already episode 2 of season 2. Anything else happen? Oh yeah, we've got some big bobble hats deets. Okay, we've had some info from the Big Bobble Hat team.
The Towers, Big Bobble Hat, Chief Towers.
Yes, and because of our badge, and it's basically going to be a custom Big Bobble Hat, it's quite expensive, guys. So it's basically around 35 quid each for a Big Bobble Hat for you to buy for us. That's including postage and packaging and what we pay to Big Bobble Hats and to pay for our time running to the post office and back. So seriously, if you are keen, we will do an order of 20. And a lot of people have reached out and said they would like one, but they didn't know how much they cost. So yeah, if you are still keen, I'll create a little folder named Big Bobble Hats Merch. And if you'd like one for 35 quid, email in hello@TNTrails and I'll pop your name in the folder. And when I get 20, we'll pop an order in. And yeah, I apologize, they're so expensive, but that's
life. That's a great life lesson for people.
Yeah.
Finley had to buy himself a drink and a snack when he was out skiing, and he said, "Mum, it was €7 for 2 drinks." And I was like,
Oh.
yeah. He said, that's opened my eyes to the real world, Mum. Oh, I was like, yeah. So that's nearly all my pocket money, Mum. I was like, yeah. Ooh, that'll learn you.
That's just dragged forward a memory. I had a conversation with somebody during the week that at school we had what they called evangelicus when they come to the school and they preach the Lord. Well, he was tearing apart.
I love that, Gary. They come in and they preach the Lord.
He was tearing apart all of this, like heavy metal and rock music, saying it was basically satanic. And the deputy head said something about wearing a seatbelt as he was driving. I had a story, quite a sad story. So after that event, he always wore a seatbelt. Fast forward a bit. It was when I realized that people were hypocrites. This the life lesson for me. I was in the car with the deputy head and he didn't, I think it was the deputy head. Anyway, a teacher. Basically, he didn't put a seatbelt on.
You realise, when you realise that adults don't sometimes walk the walk, talk the talk.
Yes.
And that drinks are very expensive and you
Yes.
spend half your salary on things you don't want to spend it on.
Right.
Open my eyes to the world, Gary.
It did, yeah. And it was funny because like here we are 40, whatever, 30 odd years later. And I still remember that little incident. And I've changed the jingle music back from the podcast because Angela Green, if you listen, Angela commented, well, I've got nothing better to do, Angela. So, yeah. This week, you know what? I forgot what the jingles are. I think I've got the right jingle. So I've reverted it back.
People don't like change, Gary. I said to you, I picked it up, didn't I? I was like, oh, you changed the music, Gary. But
you seemed okay with it, though.
Well, I'm not making comments. I haven't. You might say to me, right, you edit it then, Eddie, and then who knows what would go out.
Yeah. Oh, goodness me. But I think I was over it, about 80 miles of running. I did a nice big walk on Saturday with George, running around my GoPro, filming stuff. He was my cameraman. That was ace. I really enjoyed that. If I bribe him with a little trip to the cafe, he'll do anything. Kids
will do anything. I mean, whether that's good parenting or not, but if you put a cafe into anything, they'll do anything.
But yeah, 80 miles of running. So even though I'm whinging about my training, about 6-7 miles of walking, I've got no idea what the elevation or the time on feet were. 2 sessions, 1 at the gym, 1 at home, and 3 workouts. So I think I just need a test to see that will calm me down or stress me out.
Why don't you do a park run?
Cross country on Saturday, if it's on.
There you go.
Yes.
Why would it not be on?
Waterlogged parking. The cross country will always, the courses, they don't care about what the course, but it's if people can physically get the cars off. Seems okay. I'm a bit anxious going forward.
Oh, don't be anxious. Just enjoy the journey, and every journey is different. And sometimes,
well, this is it. Do you enjoy your journey more and have one bad day, your race day, or do you?
Yes, all the time.
Or do you suck it up and maybe not enjoy the journey as much and have a possibly standout performance?
I think I had exactly the same thought the last few days as you, Gary, because I look back on my spine training, which was immaculate. Where did I have all that time? Why have I not got this time now? I'm getting up earlier and earlier in the morning to try and get ahead of the day. And that doesn't seem to make any difference. I never see my friends. I never go out. I don't do anything apart from family, work, train. And every week I wrote my plan and every week I fail at my plan. But then what is failure at the plan? Just because I miss a few sessions, and it's not because I'm sitting there going, I can't bother to do sessions. I just the time isn't there that I think I have the time for. And I was I'm like, I'm going to turn up to that start line, which is in, oh my gosh, 2 months today. And I feel like I've not even started training for it. But
and then you've got 3-week taper, so isn't it? It's like
shut up! I'm not having a 3-week taper. I'll have it's just. And then I was like, but if you reframe it and make it, who cares? Firstly, if I turn up and I'm not as fit as Eddie 20 whatever, who cares? 0 people. And if I turn up and I just have it as an event, why do I need to race it? Maybe I just go, look, life has got in the way. I've prioritized work, I've prioritized the kids, and I turn up at a start line, not in the shape I want to be, but I but doesn't matter because, okay, so I'm not going to be able to race at the front end. But I still have a great time. I can still do another really long event and create a
Yeah, but
podcast.
I can't reframe my Manchester Marathon because the only reason why I'm there is to try and qualify for London. So,
no,
and then also I'm chasing. And then with the Leighton 100, I'm hoping to be sub 24 again. So there's a huge jeopardy.
Yes.
If I do these 13 valleys and we're not really 100% sure what's happening with the Orm, they are adventures and that will be a complete different experience. But yeah, don't put a big scary goal and then you can enjoy your training.
Yes, exactly. So it's not my time though. So I was like, so maybe if I just go, okay, it's not your time. You're not going to be able to do 6-hour hike runs before this event like you did before the Spine. You have to think of different ways to create. You are training in a different way than you are. That's okay. Like just stop pressurizing because there's nothing you can do. I haven't got the time. From the moment that I found out I was pregnant with my kids will always come first. I will never sacrifice them not doing stuff, them not being happy, them not having, not what they want to do. Because obviously sometimes it's like, sorry, it's my time now. You guys wait and watch me.
This is more directed to me. I'll ask you, but it is probably more how I feel about things. So I could go through more of an experience training session and enjoy that process so much more. Lovely times out on the hills with mates. Pretend I wasn't bothered about the outcome. And then I'd feel really down the dumps because Lakeland 100 was, I'm not going to throw a time up there because maybe that time is super fast for somebody and they'd be really pleased with that. But it wasn't the day I hoped. And I just pretended for the months beforehand.
Well, no, you can't pretend. You have got to be all in one way or another. And maybe now, like where I am with my life, with the kids becoming older with them, like becoming people rather than like young kids that are just, they don't really know what's going on. So they can be trawled around the country. They can, as they're becoming their own people, they want their own lives. I might be a better role model to them going, look, and they're becoming more aware. They're like, Mom, you had a full on day today. You've driven us around. Like I get home like, and they're like, I'll make you a cup of tea. And I'm like,
that's lovely.
Isn't that much more? They are becoming more aware that our life is mad altogether. So me then going, I'm going to go to the start line, kids. Don't expect to see me on any coverage. Let's just get a finish. Maybe that is a better example to them. And my running has always been, since I became a mum, my sport by default has become what I'm doing it for, yes, myself, but I'm also want the kids to see their mum doing it and what they learn from life from them doing their sport. And as I've created these 3 sporting lunatics, of course, that takes up so much time and energy. Yeah. And so if I want that, which I do, I have to, the bite of the apple of my bite has to become a bit different to what they have to be. And, in a few years' time, they'll have gone. And I can, I'll be old. I won't be able to bend my knees, but life will be different. And this happens at the moment that life is mega. This week was mad, Gary. I knew it was going to be mad. We had so much on and then we were away for the weekend. That never happens. So I knew that I wasn't going to be able to fit everything in. I thought I'd be able to fit in a little bit more than I did, but I didn't. So I just had to let that go. I did one really good run session. I did one really good bike session. There was some heart rate numbers in there that shouldn't be. They were illegal. They were so good. I did 2 strengths. I knew I wouldn't get a 3rd strength in, so that was fine. I took my running trainers. So we went to Lyon for an ice skating competition, which is about a 3 and a bit drive. I took my trainers thinking what I'll do is when we get back to the hotel, I will run around a loop or something and get a couple of easy 5 miles in or something. Anyway, sorry if you live in Lyon, but we were staying in a not very nice part of Lyon. I did not feel safe going out at like dusk. I was like, no, there was a lot of, let's just say the kids saw a lot of arrests. A lot of things they've never seen before. They were like, we wish we lived here. It's so exciting.
It's like, was it Bad Boys, that police program in America?
Oh my, really? It also, like you, like I did not plan well. I was so busy leading into this weekend. I let a number of things fall. One was, so Evie was doing her first ever ice skating competition. She had to have 2 different dresses. She had to do 2 different. That's a lot of stress for an 8-year-old. I did not put enough thought into this. Just the thought of just enough. It was enough for me to sort childcare, sort dog care, sort the house out, just to get away. Got to the place. I was not ready. I'm not a big makeup wearer, Gary. You might not notice because you might think this is just natural beauty, but
you don't need makeup, Eddie.
I don't have any makeup. Well, I do, but it never comes out. I never wear it. I didn't take it. And then, then the girls are like, you ever seen there's a show called,
I can imagine.
Like, can you imagine? So I walked
like
into changing rooms. It was like that. The costumes, the outfit, the music. I was like, we're from the mountains, Eves. We're not ready for this. And so I was like, oh my God, this is, I'm not ready. The coach came and was like, Evie, you need to come and warm up. Mum, do the makeup afterwards. And I was like, oh, I don't have any makeup. I don't have any makeup. I've got an old mascara. She looks like something. Oh, I tried, Gary, but I got the mascara.
Was she stressed or was she okay about it?
She wasn't. She didn't want it, to be honest. She was like, I want to, she wanted to be running around with her friends and watching. And I was stressed trying to I don't know how to put eyeshadow on. What the hell? What's everyone like the hair? I did a high ponytail. I guess I was like,
classic.
What are we going to do here? And I bought her this costume off Amazon. It didn't really fit properly. It didn't look. She looked beautiful. Of course she did. But, there was so much either money and time had been spent to create costumes that I just wasn't, I felt I let her down on that scale. She didn't care. Of course she didn't care. But I did think right, next time, raise your game, Eddie.
Raise your game.
A lot of money had gone into these things. People will see it if they've got kids and they go it's very driven how much money that you're going to put into something like lots of kids sports. And I'm like, I want the kids to earn it. They're going to, they're going to go in the old stuff and they're going to if they do well and they like it, and then we invest a little bit in it. You're not going to get it right from the off. So that was my backup. Anyway, it was a full-on weekend.
I know obviously these judges know what they're doing, but I always find that kind of competition quite subjective, because if you race, you win or you lose, or you get out of what you want. But when it's down to someone's interpretation of what you do,
I said that to Bryn. I said, I'm not in for this subjective. I'm not in for judging. I'm not in for this, because My Little Princess, she's the best one out there. And I feel like those schools. Anyway, she did awesome. She was like, I'm not nervous at all. But so she had to do a technical dance, and then she had a free dance. And then very sadly, halfway through the free dance, she took a tumble. So of course we were like, the music carries on. She gets back up. What's some famous Russian ice dancers? Polakava got back up. She got back up. She shook it off. She got back up in time with the music and she finished. I saw her face as she got off the ice and her little, she was clenched. I was like, as a parent, your heart just goes, because you just know the disappointment. And I was watching her and I could see her sitting there going, must have cried. She was super brave. And I met her in the changing room afterwards and I was like, oh, well done, Eves. Thinking, what am I going to meet? Oh my God. And she was just sitting there. She was trying to hold the tears back, going very straight, for an 8-year-old child. She was like, I'm just so disappointed, Mum. I'm so disappointed. My first dance and I fell. I was like, maybe you were more nervous than you thought you were. I wasn't. Oh, okay. All right. I was like, yeah, but Eves, the big thing was you got back up, you carried on, you finished. And then she went, she had that minute of and then she went back out and then, support her friends, got out. That's my big thing with the kids' sport, especially the high jeopardy sports that they do. I'm like, 90% is going to go wrong. It's how you handle it. You get back out, you don't sulk. You leave it you have a moment, you pull yourself together and and she's not every day on our little school journey. She's like, I keep reliving the moment, Mum. Keep reliving the moment. I'm like, what? The boys were videoing her. So they've slow-moed the bit where she fell. And I'm like, look, this is exactly what you did. Anyway, she's like, I'm like, so we've talked a lot about, and I always say this whenever I have sporting disasters with the kids, I'm so glad I've had all these sporting experiences in my life when parents are thinking, oh, I can't be doing, I can't fit it in with kids. It's too much. It's too much. that experience I've had of my life of many, many crappy races, pulling yourself back up, all the training, not like us at the moment, we're not feeling good. We're like, we just carry on. It really helps my parenting to be able to then go, this is life. This is a great life lesson. I try and phrase it in 8-year-old's terms.
Well, sometimes what you're dealt is out of your control. Not always, but sometimes it is. It's how you deal with that afterwards. That is what you
how you
control.
deal with it. And then, so we came back really late Sunday. She was absolutely exhausted. We all were, oh my God.
Yeah.
The stress of being a Russian ice skating mum. And Monday, she cried all the way to school going, I can't believe it's over. But then Monday night is her training night. And she was like, I'm going to go. Yeah, I need to go. I've got to get back on the horse. So I was like, I'm impressed with you. So highs and lows, eh? Highs and lows of parenting. I then ended up doing no running over the weekend. I did a bike session very quickly before we went, which again was my downfall because I then didn't pack any food for myself, Gary. I made the kids, and because France don't do vegetarians, and there was nothing to eat. So then I had no really bad food or nothing all weekend. I thought I'll get back on Sunday night and I'll do my treadmill session. Gary, I didn't even have a cup of tea until we got home on the Sunday night because there wasn't kettles in the hotel. It was all disaster, Gary. I was absolutely...
This wasn't a kettle in the hotel.
It wasn't well, that's how crappy it was. And so I thought, Monday, this is great because I'm going to feel great on Monday. I'll do a longer run and my gym session. I'm going to be on fire. Of course, I felt shocking. Everything hurt. I felt terrible. I felt heavy. I'm getting old. I can't not run now, Gary. So that's when I was like, I'm reframing this now. I'm reframing this. I'm going to just become fun, Eddie.
Well, yeah, it's been a bit of a downer this week, hasn't it, for both?
Sorry. It's real. It's real, isn't it? And I'm sure loads of people are feeling the same way. The juggle, the struggle is a real deal. But we just keep moving forward. Every day is a new day. We get stiffer and older, but it's a new day.
This week's Brew with the Coaches is all about footwear advice. Yeah, really interesting. Apologies, Matt. I don't know what your second name is. I've just completely deleted that email. But yeah, he's this week's Brew with the Coaches. I've been an on-off runner for a number of years, but this autumn, whilst on a hiking holiday, I started wondering if there was a quicker way to see some of these landscapes which didn't require big multi-day tours. I did some digging around online and discovered the ultra running community and quickly signed myself up for my first ultra marathon next spring. Centurion's 100 Hills 50K. Is that one you've done, Eddie?
No, it's a relatively new one, but it's super popular. And as it says in the titles, it's 100 hills over 50K in March. A great time to do a 50K ultra.
I've been binging on your podcast and started to ramp up the volume, 75K a week currently. But I've started thinking a bit more seriously about what running shoes to wear. I went for a gait analysis at my local running shop and discovered I have some overpronation. I haven't heard much talk on the podcast or elsewhere about pronation. Maybe everybody has a lovely running gait and I'm the odd one out, but I wondered whether this is something I should worry about over these types of longer distances. I haven't noticed any aches or pains yet and actually managed my longest run yet, 32K, without any hiccups. Do I need to look at correcting my pronation before building up too much volume, or is running with under/overpronation perfectly fine? Any advice would be appreciated. Thanks, Matt. Well, I'm no doctor or run and gait analysis specialist, but yeah, I said to the coaches before we recorded this question, I've had quite a few run and gait analysis over the years, and I was told I needed some support, some structure in my footwear, and because I don't think Vaporflies offer support, I didn't want to listen to that advice and I ignored them, and I've been pretty much injury free, and I'm just an experiment of one. My goodness me, don't really take my advice. There's people with much better knowledge than me, but yeah, didn't do me any harm. That's my opinion. Who wants to go first with this one?
Rebecca, what do you think? Because coming from the sort of medical point of view, maybe first.
Hi, Matt. Yes, certainly overpronation does get talked about from time to time, and it sort of comes in and out of how important it is really in terms of sort of media and things you might read elsewhere. Jury's out really about how important it is. There is an association between people who overpronate and certain lower limb injuries, anterior knee pain, things that we used to call shin splints, so medial tibial stress syndrome. So if people have an injury and they overpronate, then it is something you might want to look at in terms of correcting it or helping with it. If you are somebody who overpronates but is otherwise absolutely fine and has no injuries, you don't have to correct it. It is just a normal accepted variant of running gait that people have, walking gait, running gait. If it's not causing a problem, if it's not broke, don't try and fix it, essentially, is probably where I'm at with it. In terms of what type of running shoes to wear, most important thing is the ones that are the most comfortable and the ones that feel the best when you're running. That and beyond that, it's really difficult to give advice if you don't have a problem already. So if you go looking for a solution if there's a problem. So if you have an Achilles problem or if you have a knee problem or whatever, then you might look at foot position. And certainly, if you were having issues with that regard, I would go for a formal gait analysis with a sports podiatrist and somebody who can really analyse exactly what's going on. But also, again, it's the running gait analysis is in context of everything else. And that's an assessment to see, do you have any sort of strength or weakness deficits which are contributing to lower limb injury? And those things are also really important to correct. Again, there's no point correcting overpronation if actually the problem you've got is to do with something else. But because it's an easy thing to correct, it's an easy thing for a running shop to suggest, and those products are available, you can understand why people end up getting suggested, oh, you overpronate, maybe you need to wear this type of trainer. But motion control trainers, there's no sort of set standard as to how much it's going to correct the overpronation. So every brand, every pair will do it to a different level. So you don't really know what's being corrected or to what level. So I think at the moment, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I think if you had issues with it and they identify overpronation as a factor, then it would probably be better to go looking into it in a bit more detail with someone who's got the ability to sort of really look at properly correcting it with some sort of orthotic device. But at the moment, like an insole, but at the moment, just wear what's comfortable and pay attention to lower limb strength and control. That's the most important thing that you can do for injury prevention rather than trying to correct your gait.
I think a lot of it is not actually the way, I think what running shops are looking at, they look at the foot movement to how it becomes flat. And actually it doesn't really matter. If you look at all the Kenyans or any really super marathon runner, the way that their feet hits the floor is completely different. It's, how they get there. Often you see like people got funny little back kicks and people have shorter strides, but the way the foot then rolls through the floor is much more important than how it actually gets there. And I think unless you go to a real specialist, they could call that up as overpronating, whereas actually it's just your lower limb movement into the running action. As Rebecca sort of touched on, Matt, as you increase your volume, if you have got any weaknesses in your form, which you will have, we all do have, then the strength and conditioning you can't increase the running volume without also increasing the strength and conditioning alongside it. So especially if perhaps you do, your feet might be, your ankles, your hips, something might not be quite right. Look at some strength work alongside increasing your volume. I'd say your volume, I probably wouldn't put it any much higher than that, and perhaps instead spend some time calf work, foot work, hip work, core work, strengthening all those lower limbs as well as you go off into your ultra journey. Trish?
I'm just going to summarize what everyone else just said. Basically, if it's not broke, don't fix it. I don't think you've got a problem. Secondly, strength work, single leg work particularly. Thirdly, what shoes to wear, ones that are mostly comfortable and will give you the appropriate grip for the race.
You're not going to
doing
follow.
Great, Matt.
I wonder if it's not broke and you try and fix it, then might you break something?
Yeah, exactly. That's a real danger. And that's why I think, as Rebecca said, if you are experiencing problems, which and I think a really good sports podiatrist is brilliant. I think they're probably undersold in our market, and people think that they can solve that sort of problems themselves because they'll look at the whole body as well. They won't just look at the way the foot lies. They will look right up the chain. So I would say it's got its place, but be careful who you, and Matt, maybe you're learning this as well, especially when we're newbie trail runners. There's so much information, and everybody that says the information says it like it's law, and that's right. Starting that ultra running filter is really important, of taking on board thinking and making your own running Bible and not taking it from somebody else's.
If you run on the trails especially, you're not striking the ground flat consistent every time. So it's super, super tricky. I don't really think, oh goodness me, I'm not really aware of any trail shoes that offer stability or anything like that. Not that I can think off the top of my head. Yeah, but I'm not too sure what Matt's week looks like as far as running on the pavements and roads as opposed to trails. But yeah, best of luck. Interesting. I wonder if there is some non-brand funded studies out there for if you need overpronation or support or neutral shoes with any significant evidence, because a lot of these studies, I suppose, if you peel back the layers, then it would be funded by people who are selling shoes. So yeah, I'd be interested if there's a non-brand funded research out there. Yeah, and if anybody knows such a study, then share it in the Tea and Trails Facebook group. I would be super curious to see what they have to say.
This week's interview is with Jack Stott. He needs no introduction, but if you'd like an introduction, rewind a few episodes where we first met Jack, and he tells us all about his journey into running, and that was just after the Spine 2022. But this week we catch up with him all about his Spine race 2024, but actually it's not all about the race. A lot of it is about his preparation for the race, how he was before the race, how he handled it. Yeah, how he handles himself in the race, but generally how he handles himself in training and life as well. I absolutely loved this chat with Jack, and I feel, Gary, we came away with definitely a new friend. Here's our chat with Jack. We are delighted, more than delighted, so thrilled to welcome Jack Stott back on the podcast. He just asked, and we said, okay, look, we've got a little bit of time tonight. We'll fit you in. Welcoming from his course record-breaking winner of the 2024 Spine race. He must be super busy, and so we are so thrilled that you've joined us tonight. And it is in the evening, and you've probably been working today. So before we even start, we'll just send you how much people asked for you to come on the podcast and how much it means for us that you're here. So thank you very much, Jack.
Thank you for the opportunity. It's a pleasure to speak to you again.
Where are you? What's the view from your window? And have you been for a run today? We're 2 weeks post Spine. So
I've actually moved seats. So normally I'm there, but I'm here. Don't know why. Just felt like a bit of a different backdrop. So I'm sitting in my kitchen. My dog is sniffing around somewhere. I have been for a run today. I ran 1.36 miles up to my physio, and then I sort of picked my wife up in town and drove back. What was the other question?
Oh, view from your window.
View from your window, if it was daylight.
A nice lawn, a nice tidy back garden.
How did that run feel?
Honestly, the way December and January went, I needed the Spine to make myself feel better. Sounds ridiculous, but things are percentage points better than they were in January when I was running in pain. So I actually feel amazing.
I love that. I can't wait to dip more into that and the bravery it must have taken to stand on that start line. Not sure where that was going, but we won't go into that quite yet because Gary will tell me off.
Well, we won't do the usual background, Jack, because you have been on the podcast before, and if listeners want to go all the way back to episode 30, they can catch up there. But yeah, nearly 2 weeks since you touched the wall. Unless I missed it, I didn't see you kiss the wall. Was that just fatigue?
I didn't kiss the wall either, Jack. I refused to.
The first thing I was going to kiss was my wife and my dog, so I ain't kissed them on the wall.
I love it. Yeah, there's a lot of lips. There's a lot of lips on that wall.
Oh, God. That's not me. I know it sounds ridiculous, but just touch the wall.
I like it. But then you were straight into a media assault. It seemed like you pretty much finished. Apologies if I've got the way they're edited together. It's not actually how it was, but it looked like you finished. You had cameras in your face. They were asking you with what happened, certain sections of the race. You were amazingly coherent. What was that like? And then running show, you've gone from isolation to just bombardment. What was that like? My goodness me.
I suppose it relates to when Ian Keith won in 2018 maybe, and I was just finding my feet as a runner. I saw his post-race interview and something triggered in me. So I'm guessing that there's young men and women, or old men and women, or people in the middle who have seen that raw emotion at the end of that race, and that can inspire people 2, 3, 4 years down the line. So I absolutely don't mind that. So all that is a recipe of success, I suppose. So it's not a problem for me. And then, to the running show, got in touch saying, can you come down? And I was like, yeah, let's go down. And I went down, met a load of amazing people, just spoke off the cuff from the heart, and it was brilliant.
I think the guys, oh my goodness me, the Malvins, the Facebook group, they did an awesome job over there, just keeping us all updated. Yeah, it looked fantastic. Really, really did. Shall we get straight into a Patreon question? Because we've got quite a few to get through. First one is from Colin Woolard. How did your feet fare with hammering them from the hard frozen ground? It's widely reported you kept with just one pair of Innovate Trailfly G270s for the whole race.
Yes.
How was it? Yeah, what was your body like and your feet as you peeled off all the layers?
I just think like all the questions we're going to get, like the base comes from last year, just learning, when things go wrong, you normally review and you try and grow again. But remember, things can go right and you can sort of, I know now subconsciously, these are the decisions I make, these are the products I use, this is how I behave at checkpoints or something else. And I guess my feet were, last year I was extremely surprised how my feet held up. Similar conditions, more snow last year. And this year was the same, just good, clever sock changes, prioritising that, take 5 minutes at the checkpoint to save yourself 5 hours of blistered limping or DNFing. And one pair of shoes that were half a size bigger. And as I got further north, my pace slowed and the temperatures dropped. I changed my socks to a more heavy duty sock, and that just complemented the plan I had. So one pair, and they worked superbly.
I've got to say, whoever Innovate designed the Trailfly G270s. I know they call the G270s now the Trailfly, sorry. That has been a super successful shoe.
Very versatile. Like I said, I've won UTS 50K in them. I've won 4 mile trail races in them, and they work for the spine. I trusted them.
Have you handed that pair of shoes over to somebody at Innovate, signed? Are they being auctioned off?
They've been signed, and they're going around various stores of the country with a picture of me behind them. And I believe people are posing photos of the shoes, which is
excellent.
I love it. Let's go back to the start, Jack. How did it feel towing the line for the second year, knowing what was coming? I couldn't imagine going back the year straight after I'd done it. Well, I would have loved to, but the way that I'd have been at the start line would have been very different, knowing the journey I had ahead. Did you feel different stepping up on that line the second time? Was there more fear, knowing the pain that was ahead?
There wasn't. There was questions and there was a wobble in December, which we can get to later on, where injuries were there, psychology was slipping. But because of how difficult the build-up was, when the time came, I was fresh enough and I was good enough and I had a chance. I just felt like a fish in water. I just felt in the right place, strong, perfect, just ready for a long run. That was literally my mindset. Get to Langdon, back, see what happens.
The early pace of the men has been documented a lot. There's been lots of pictures out there of a train of very strong men running. Everybody went off fast. The men went off fast. And this is a sort of like different question that I want to ask, is that why don't the women go off like that and run neck and neck? The women seem to splinter within the time it takes to go run on the road and then you step off the trail. And you don't see the women pushing the pace together. They seem to splinter, whereas the men seem to have found that group and then they stayed and they pushed the pace together. Have you got any thoughts on that? Successes, not successes, like there's obviously no right or wrong way. I just found that really interesting that the women had a really strong field as well.
Yeah.
But you don't often see the women racing like that. The men race basically until people drop and drop and drop and drop.
I think maybe the ladies, the females, they stay in control of their own race from the minute they pass the nag's head and they run their own race. And I think maybe the males in such a competitive year, I mean, I took control of my race at mile 85 because I was in a bit of a hole, but a lot of the men just couldn't deal with that. So the easy thing was to run with other people and then see what happens. I guess I think the females made good, consistent, strong decisions a lot earlier than the males.
How did it feel running in that pack? And you said at 85 miles, perhaps things weren't looking as well, but the sort of early miles, did you feel pretty good?
I was in control. I was asking myself every 45 minutes to an hour, is this the race you want to run? Are you okay? I was aware that John had gone back, but dropped back maybe 20 minutes. But I was right where I needed to be. I was right where I needed to be. You know, maybe at 100k leaving Lothersdale and rolling up to Malamtarn. The four of us at the front, three of us were having the discussion about reining it in, slowing it down, taking control as a pack. But that wasn't really an option for, well, Kim was running a race that he thought was going to be successful. And at Malamtarn, I was in a sticky situation, but that was fine. That wasn't an issue for me. I was happy to go.
Rich Beatty asks, was there a plan? Did you have a plan going into that? Was that your plan? Or were you just going to go with what the pace everybody was setting? I
knew that if I moved 0.1 miles an hour faster, I would do 82 hours. I'd done the maths, and that was amazing encouragement when I sort of did stuff like that when I was struggling with injuries, and I sort of made little calculations. I looked back at what I'd done and I just settled down. To win the race and do whatever that entails, there was no plan in this race whatsoever.
What happened at Malamtarn? What is it that, did you just have to take stock?
Yeah, so the first night for me is always most difficult. And even psychologically in an Innovate blog before the race, they said, what are you least looking forward to? And I said, kit check. And what are you...
Oh, isn't it awful?
It was expensive for me. I bought a very lightweight metal tin off Lindsay. Yeah, it cost me a bit of money, but that's fine. Anyway, so they asked, what are you most looking forward to? And I said, dawn on the Monday morning, hopefully dropping into Hawes, sunlight, settled into the race, and sort of earning the right to actually be strategic. The first night's always difficult. So we get into Malamtarn. I'm probably 5 minutes behind Damien, Kim, and Conrad. I haven't fed the pace enough from probably mile 70. So 12, 15 miles of underfeeding, probably running a bit out of control. I decided to have a lie down for a minute. I have a cup of coffee, which is a mistake. I decided to have a lie down in this little area. I'm lying down, I'm shivering, and I'm thinking, this is not good. This is bad. I get up, I vomit on the floor, get out that room, get out that space. And in between getting up, walking back to the sort of refuge area where there's a cup of tea and some volunteers, honestly, I thought about what I was going to say to my wife, because I just, for a split second, I couldn't see a way out. Maybe 15, 20 seconds, 30 seconds. I sat down, regrouped, and something just came to me. This isn't right. This isn't your time to say ta-ra to this. Take control of your race, take the full 29, 30 minutes at this checkpoint and earn the right to see the next day. And that's what I did. But it was close.
When you said you were working like a bit harder than you needed to be to fueling, can you give people like an idea of what that sort of like, maybe like on an RPE scale of what that working hard looks like?
I think for the first 85 miles, we averaged 12-minute miles, which is ridiculous. I ran a 100-mile PB in this race. I've never ran a 100-mile race hard. I ran a 100-mile PB in this race. I think it was 22:02, 22:10, something like that. Yeah. You're going through the night, it's cold, things are starting to hurt, things are different and new. I've never ran that fast at 3 a.m. in the Pennines, in a race, all these new things. And I couldn't feed the effort. I couldn't comprehend what this meant for the rest of the race. It didn't feel worth it at that point. So RPE I was one level above control. So I was theoretically out of control of my own race for a good 15 miles, which is 3 hours if you're moving at 5 miles an hour. And I was about to take a step back in my race and reassess, but then just got it right at the right time. And once I'd overcome that hurdle, that was literally the only hurdle I had in the race.
Oh, mate, I love that. Just that tiny little bit, but probably exactly what you needed. Like not what you wanted, but exactly what you needed. Enabled you to get those calories on and just take a breath.
You've got yourself back in the race. What was it like after that for that section?
Yeah, from Hawes to Langdon Beck was comfortable, was good. I ran with James Nobles. We were picking people off, and I had an amazing 12-hour stint, maybe less. And we started to hunt people down. I mean, at one point, James actually said, you're going into hunting mode now, laughing and joking, chasing Conrad. And I suppose I was. And I'd settled, I'd found a magic pace, my energy levels were good. And I started to catch the boys who had left me behind before.
Did you notice that extra 8 miles onto the checkpoint having to run past Middleton? Did it feel a lot longer, that section?
Yeah, but I was happy with that. It actually suited my race plan. It actually suited the style of run that I wanted to piece together. I was happy with it. It was a bit of a blessing, to be honest. Yeah, we're turning the corner at Middleton along the river instead of going into town. We passed Conrad and we're like, let's get Damo. Let's get Damo before the checkpoint. And then 4 miles down there, I remember the public says Kim's out. And it was just like someone lit a firework with me, to be honest. This is it. And then from that moment, I suspect I moved up a level in mindset. Or that door that I wanted to be there was actually there. So it was like, oh my God, here we go. And then the rest is history, I guess. Nicola
Powley says, congratulations, Jack. Fantastic run. And there's quite a few questions in this, so I'm going to read them sort of all separately because it's late. We're all tired. We'll forget. So this is quite interesting. What is your favourite and least favourite section of the Pennine Way?
That's a really interesting question and sort of relates to what I've said before about the first night. So the bit between Hebden, Hay and Malham Tarn, I struggle with. I struggle with the farmland, the flat bit along the canal, not really intriguing. I've ran that in training in the daylight. I've obviously ran it in the race twice in the dark. Not a fan of that. My favourite bit is probably when it starts to get a little bit wild over the Yorkshire Dales and into the North Pennines. Probably be Crossfell, my favourite part.
I agree with that. She also adds, you mentioned the Innovate interview averaging 52 miles per week in training, 11,000 feet of climbing plus strength work for the spine. How does this compare to your normal training load, and do you utilise any cross training?
Well, last year was different. Coming off the end of the spine last year, I didn't really do like mad miles. Like last year, I averaged, I think, 44 miles a week. I mean, that is pennies, that is nothing. So that was something that I'm well aware of. But when I work hard, I work hard. When it's race specific, it's absolutely, nailed on. Starting runs on the Pennines at 1 a.m. in the morning on your own and being out for 6 hours, and then come away, recover properly from that 2 or 3 days, get in the gym, train, anything you can do to enhance yourself as a being. These races aren't about fitness. Lakeland 100. Yeah. It's about who you are, what you've done. Anything you can do without loading your body with unnecessary stress, i.e., on the joints, do it or explore it. Food, hydration, sleep, cross-training, all good things that don't add to the workload.
I'm sure I read on the Innovate blog, you did five sessions a week. That blows my mind. So I'm just curious, what does your week look like down the gym?
Before the spine last year, I was forced down that avenue because I was working away in Oxford. I was mega busy and I had a time period of 5 a.m. till 6:30. How could I get the most out of that hour and a half before work? And then obviously being on my feet for 10 hours. So I went in the gym, I started doing cross training. I was on the battle rope, I was on the ski erg, I was on the row machine. I was in and out of heart rate zones all the time, massive interval sessions on the bike and all sorts. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. At the start, it was a problem. I developed into it. I learned, let things go that weren't working, did things that were difficult in the gym. Again, that carried on into the year just gone, in recovery from the spine into the summer. So let's talk about the 44 miles a week last year. Add to that at least 2.5 hours in the gym and at least 2 physio sessions. So you're looking at 4.5 hours of your week where you're not running, but you're enhancing running. If you say 8 miles for each hour, 8, 16, 24, so let's say 28 miles extra, you're looking at 69 miles a week average.
Yeah.
That's the calculation I worked out. And then for this year, just had to trust what had worked before and probably go to another level with sauna and health and different things. The sauna was amazing. I used it in the summer to try and mimic altitude, and there's studies about that. But this time I used it to recover from the work I'd done. And I wrote about this treadmill session, which is on the blog. It might get mentioned later on. Ridiculous. You can get in the sauna straight after that. You're recovering at higher heart rate, under pressure. Things grow and things evolve in there. But I was using it as half an hour away from my phone. Think about the race. Think about John. Think about Damien. Think about clarity and away from the gadgets. And I used the sauna to actually just headspace.
Yeah, just to be present. I love it.
I love that because I have cut down my mileage a lot, Jack, and and substituted it with strength. I love the word that you use of enhancing my running. It definitely doesn't take anything away from my running. It definitely enhances it. But I also use it as the time, it's a really good mental time as well, because it's all you have to focus on. When you're running, it's so easy for us as runners to run, and the mind can wander, and it's pretty easy most of the time, apart from when you're a mile 190 on the Pennine Way. But the mind can just wander. But the gym, I find I have to focus. I have to get through sessions. I find it harder mental load than running, and I think that is only beneficial as well. Like working the brain that's going, I don't want to do all these lunges. I just want to be running miles. And you're like, no, this is good. This is what you need to be doing. This is going to make you stronger.
I mean, I can preach about it because it's worked for me, and you're starting to see that now. But it's tough to implement on someone who is, we all want to train 7 days a week. I think I said this last time. We all want to run 100 miles a week. We want things to look great and pretty. It's a load of nonsense. If you look at your program and you're looking at the stats and you think you've done enough before you get on the Pennine Way in winter, there's more. There's a depth inside you which you need. Edwina, you're aware of that. You need to grow with the plan. You as a being, not just numbers, and that's something that I thoroughly believe.
Let's go back a little bit, Jack, to a couple of months maybe before the 2024 Spine. What happened? I deep dived into your Strava and it went quite quiet.
I've said it started years ago when I was a young adult growing up, blah, blah, blah. But, the chunk of it started in October. I ran incognito. I ran 35 miles from Gargrave to Pennygent Summit and back. And that was a good run, good solid run, big mileage. And I settled in and I was like, right, this is happening. I am going back. I'm going to do what I need to do to get ready for it. There was a couple of hill races after that, which finished at Pendle Hill Race, fell race in Northern England. That was a success, a good, strong showing again. And 5 or 6 days later, I was on the Pennine Way, did a massive training run, 54 miles, and the body let me down, unfortunately. I was having problems with my IT band, unrecognisable levels of fatigue, upper body as well. It was a bit of a spanner in the works, to be honest, and I came away from it. Instead of looking at the 54 mark, instead of looking at all the positives, which were 8 out of 10 positives, I was holding on to the negatives, and I sort of slipped into a bit of a tricky area, and that's where the gym really took over. I took 10 days off running. I went to Dublin with my wife, relaxed the brain. I got away with it. It was difficult. I turned the corner and I got away with that. So now we're rolling into December. I'm still prioritising cross training, started doing these training smart, started doing these treadmill sessions. I dipped my toe in again to the Pennine Way, 9th and 10th of December. Had an amazing training weekend there, 40 miles on the Saturday, which I didn't think at the time, it felt unbelievable. I had full pack on, ran from Alston to Bellingham, stayed over, and then got a taxi early morning Sunday, which cost me a fortune, to Burness. And Burness to Kirk Yatham, and then my friend picked me up from Kirk Yatham and drove me back to my car. Logistical nightmare, but
we're here, yeah.
And I came away from that weekend thinking, right, I'm not back, but my shield is high.
I love that. I love that.
Next week comes, the week's going well, treadmill sessions, gym. Friday, I don't work Fridays anymore. It's sort of coaching day and time with my wife. Friday comes, I do a double day. So in the morning, I do 9 miles easy trails with my friend Hugh. In the evening, I've missed speed, so I do speed. And speed for me is 4:55 a mile, really high intensity, good stuff. Body holds up. Next day, I try and go into spine prep, running in the roaches with the pack, and I pick up 3 injuries in one run. So I was dealt a very bad hand there. And then, again, psychological warfare for the next 2 weeks.
When you say psychological warfare, what would you mind explaining? Like, what does that look like?
It's no running at all. It's those 5-6 gym sessions a week. It's thinking you've undone 5 or 6 years of work. You blame yourself a little bit. You try and think of the bigger picture, try and be positive. That's difficult. I went on a photo shoot with Innovate in the Lake District. That was meant to be my week of peak training, but away from the Pennine Way. Like, forget about the Pennine Way. Go in the mountains, do what you need to do. I was in the Lake District. We're having an amazing time promoting new products. And I was really deep down, I was sad that I felt for the first time in 5 or 6 years, I couldn't train how I wanted. So I had to go I came back from there on the Friday afternoon. My wife picked me up. I was snappy in the car. I wasn't myself. So I went to see my psychologist who got me prepped for last year and prepped me for some of the stuff I've done. And he sat me down and he flushed it out with me. He made me realise the position I'm in. He made me realise where I've come from. he made me accept my subconscious that, you know, you are going back, you're going back to win the race, accept it, deal with it now, deal with any pressures you feel. And that would have been on maybe the 22nd of December. And from that moment on, I could have fought Mike Tyson and maybe beat him. I just felt amazing.
Was the psychologist a constant part of the year, 2023?
Yeah. He's been constant since Southern Upland Way in 2021. We used the same technique that enhanced last year, making me believe I could run with Damien and Kim. This year, it was get to the start line. Get this lad to the start line. And he did it. And it gives me goosebumps. It was
I think you getting to the start line, you'd already beaten everybody else. You turning up at that start line, it was fate. It was a sealed deal already. That you turning up to the start line you must have believed you could have won that race. Like and actually not running and using that time. No, you probably didn't want to work on your mental game was probably the game changer.
I came off Strava after the Gargrave run. The Tan Hill run, and I was like, "You've got to tighten your circle here. You know, if an injury comes or something comes, you know, and you blame if 10% of why it's there is an issue you've created, not that it was, but that's not good enough in my eyes. You've got to have a clean, good, tight, clean slate." So I was like, right, I'm not doing any media, I'm not doing any Strava, I'm doing very little Instagram. And I just wanted to I was so ready without it being like here. I was so ready that I just didn't want to talk to people and for them to add any blurriness in my head. Like, I'm a really simple guy. And I was just like, right, I don't need people telling me how good I am. I don't need people telling me how bad I am. I don't need people telling me that John's going to beat me. I don't need people telling me that I'm going to beat John. Get to the start line. Don't overcomplicate it and go and execute performance, and it worked.
Love the inner circle idea. I'm a big believer on a very small and very tight inner circle, even though I share my daily life on a podcast. But
I just love turning down the noise, you know, literally just cut those things out. I'm not really very prolific on social media, but yeah.
I was getting, me and Damien were talking, you know, was John coming back? As soon as John was in the race, I just felt like this was the biggest opportunity of my life, and this was perfect. And actually, people being added to the race was like, yes, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it now in front of you.
Come to daddy. Come on.
I just like that's going to extract an extra percentage from me. And it's not, people might look at that and be like, oh my God, how the hell am I going to do this? But I was like, I'm going to do it against the best in the world. And I believed it. I just believed it.
Do you use that as motivational, Catriona Miller? That's her question, actually. What do you use for motivation when the going gets tough? And I suppose that could apply to training and racing.
It's a blessing to be in these situations for the front, the middle, or the people at the back. And we live sheltered lives, you know, we're protected. And sometimes you have to be ruthless and tough and do dangerous things. And if your body and your mind can take you there, for me, that is what life's about. So don't get me wrong, I don't fancy doing a skydive. Don't fancy that. I don't fancy something like a bush tucker trial, a load of spiders on me. But this thing is my thing. And to be away from the phone, to break the mold, and to have an adventure, and for it to be worthy of a success, that for me is enough motivation. And then to get home to my wife and live a simple life.
I always think, I don't know if you're the same, Eddie, and it sounds like you similar, Jack. You're going to take that much time. It's a treat. It is a blessing to be able to do these things and to be fit enough to do it. But to put myself on that start line and all the sacrifices my circle have made for me to be there and not to get to the end, that's enough. That's enough motivation for me to keep digging in. Next question from Andrew Hall. 54 minutes sleep, Jack. Was that planned or just... You
looked good on it, Jack. You looked good.
I had Gucci on the phone after, but I said no.
That's some good.
I again, the sort of simplicity approach that I, you know, coming off social media, keeping everything easy, keeping everything clean, keeping everything basic. Go out and do whatever you need to do to win the race. I know that evolved to something ridiculous in the second half of the race, but that was my time to do that. But go out and do whatever you need to finish 1 minute ahead of whoever's second. Don't be scared of that. You know, I went into the Southern Upland Way it was like, in FKT, I was 13 minutes ahead of Mike Hartley. I broke the record. The pressure was on, running for 55 hours. Couldn't sleep. Didn't have a choice. So I slept 49 minutes in 2.5 days. That's the sort of approach I took to this. Find a way to stay awake.
What about your kit? You were curious actually about what was in your pack. James Bellaby asks a broader question about any changes that you made. We have touched on that, but yeah, I'm curious. What was your kit this year compared to last year?
When I was on the photo shoot with Innovate for the new Trailfly, which is coming out very soon, will be out when this is out. I picked up a prototype 20-litre vest, and I thought, okay, because last year I had a bulky pack on, loads of space, load of convenience. So I took this pack off Adrian at Innovate. I experimented with it. I trained with it a little bit, although my hands were tired with doing certain Pennine Way specific miles because of my injuries. That was one of the biggest differences. I felt lighter. I felt different. The pack was on me different. Felt more streamlined. Pack weight was very similar. This year would have been lighter, but not much. Head torch got upgraded to the Fenix 65 RT, I think, which was a bit of a later addition than I'd like, to rely on that better battery life and simplicity with one battery. My Sunto was upgraded. Me and Sunto sort of touch base, and they took me on board and helped me with some products, and that made a massive difference. That was superb in the Cheviets when I was absolutely zombified.
Why was it superb? Yeah, because I'm not a Sunto fan, so sell it to me.
The clarity of the mapping and the way that the GPS file had been uploaded into the Sunto. It wasn't just a straight line in a right angle. It was curved. It was nice. It gives you the contours. It's
quite responsive. I've only seen YouTube videos on. There's two Sunto watches which I would say compete with the Garmin Phoenix range and the Epics, and there's a bit of a lag sometimes with your Phoenix when you're going on corners. The Sunto just seems to be so quick, long time overdue. I'm not too sure why they didn't really do the full mapping, but the Vertex, is it, and the Pace?
Well, I'm on vertical.
Oh, it's awesome. They look awesome products anyway.
How long did the battery last on it?
I'm glad you asked that, because I wanted to tell people, but yeah. So in my race mode, because I do it differently, I only need to be told what I'm doing per hour. So I don't need to be told what I'm doing every mile. I just want to know 5 miles an hour, 4 miles an hour, 6 miles an hour. That's fine by me. It gives me race clarity, tells me I'm in a good place, especially in the latter stages of this race. My God, when it was ticking over 15-minute miles, 4 miles an hour, I was in dreamland. So that's good. I thought there's no way Damien is doing this right now. So that was. So it started 99% battery with the GPX file on, with full performance mode, heart rate turned off, Bluetooth turned off, real basic, just what I needed. I charged it for an hour in the race, and I finished with 54% battery and a full.
Shut up! Shut up!
It's a heavy flex, that is.
I was only out for 72 hours.
That's awesome.
All right, rub it in a bit then. I was thinking charge
You
you
just mentioned demo there. I wonder if at any point, were you running scared?
Yeah, absolutely. When I had it in my hands and I was coming off Cross Fell, and I highlighted that as an area to attack, like in race. So leaving Langenbeck, that was where I decided to make my move, which we'll talk about a bit more. But I was running scared because I dreamt about that moment for my entire running career. And honestly, when I had it, there was no way I was going to let it go. And something I've realised with sleep is I was feeling so good and so sharp that if I slept, I jeopardised that. There's no way I could have felt better. And I'd slept for half an hour at Langdon, and I woke up and I was in agony, hip flexors, everything. It took me a while to get the train started again. I just thought that I've got to do it this way. I can't. I've got this. This is mine. If you sleep, I just felt like I jeopardised it, so I basically didn't give myself a choice.
Lee Bailey asked us, as we touched on Damo there, keen to hear Jack's thoughts on his relationship with Damo. Clearly, the 2023 result would have been a huge motivating factor in the months, as we've just said, building up to the race. Both Jack and Damien finishing together, but with different outcomes. I've read Damo's post-race thoughts on the confusion of performing so well, smashing his own and Jasmine's record, but also being soundly beaten on the course. He'd like to ask you, Jack, if there is any measure of energy lost towards other competitors, guilt or sympathy during or after the race, or does he not allow himself these thoughts while he's in his own racing mindset? Also, a lovely handshake and a hug at the wall on Damo's arrival.
Great question. Last time we spoke, I'd been on training runs with Damien, if you remember. We've been in Snowdonia.
Yeah.
This year, we got closer. We became closer friends. He is literally the reason I brought my first Innovate pack 5 years ago. He's the one who got me in touch with Innovate Innovate got in touch with me after my Southern Upland Way run. There's mutual respect there. He is a level above me still. He's had an amazing career and he will continue to. And I want the consistency he has. And if I'm in his position at late 40s, I won't say how old he is because sometimes I get a year out and he texts me saying, "Oh, you're cheeky." I will be over the moon. So I have respect for him and John and the amazing athletes at the front. I just think this year it was my time to do it, and the best man wins. All woman, they win because they handle their race and they tick 8 out of the 10 boxes. And one of my boxes this year was actually speed in the second half of the race, which I wasn't really expecting, but it was there and I was not going to let this opportunity go. There's an amazing camaraderie between the front runners, as I'm sure there is. You know, I've got respect for every single person on the start line, and at the front, there's that level of respect, 100%.
But at the end of the day, as Debbie Martin-Gonzani says, it's not a coffee morning. You know, you're there to do your job, to get down to business, and you can share a beer, you can share a hug like you did at the finish, but the Pennine Way, it's all for one and one for all, isn't it? You've got to do your race. You can't run someone else's race.
You've seen the pictures of the train going along the moorland at the start. John Kelly settled in behind me. I'm in the front. John's talking about calculations for an 80-hour race. He was like, "Oh my God, if we get to Snake Pass before 2 hours, 5 minutes, we're going to be this far ahead." And I'm just thinking, John, I'm a steel fixer from Stoke. Don't use calculators. Don't know what's going on. You don't have to run this fast now if you don't want to. And I just kept my mouth shut and just kept moving, sort of, that the whole time.
Yeah, I love Damo's vlog when he's like, he just didn't want to chat. I wanted to be his mate. And he just...
John Kelly's not chatty, is he, either? Generally, I think he's a bit of a grunter from what
he was at the start of this one, for sure. Nice.
Did you reflect? 2023, obviously, you had what was deemed as a shortcut. When you passed that point this year, did you give a little doff of the hat to that point and like, not this year, mate?
Yeah, I guess I did. Yeah, a bit. I was still, you know, I went old school in this race. So I got to the checkpoint in Alston and John says to me, he says, Damien is 5 kilometres behind or a little bit more. I've got an 8-hour schedule, as I've just mentioned. He said, you are 5.5 hours ahead of that right now. Looking him in the eyes, John Kelly, I'm eating lasagna, John Kelly's saying this. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. I'm like, what on earth is happening here? And I was like, I've got to go. I got out of there and I just moved, and then I passed Hadrian's Wall and I passed through the point that you were just mentioned last year where I made my navigation error. I didn't check the trackers once. I didn't trust what people were saying at Burness. I had a 14-mile lead. I just ran as hard as I could, like a record attempt, and realised that there might be something special going on here. I'm going to do it my way. And that's what I did. So running through Bellingham, running through the forest, and then through Hornistead Farm. The lady at Hornistead, amazing character.
Did she get you to come in? Did you just high five?
I had a bit of broth. Spoke to her. I think she checked the tracker for me and she showed me, but I didn't believe it. I just had to do what I did, run as hard as I could. And risk, 9 times out of 10 that might not work, but this time it did. So I'm happy with that.
Yeah, Sharon Dyson's question. There's a few sentences here. Deep breath. Last winter, when you came into the last checkpoint at Burness, you slumped down on the sofa and said something along the lines of, Damien wants it, he can have it. I can't put another shift in like that one. I'm just done. Meaning the Belgium to Burness leg. You looked dejected and sad. Wowzers, what a change this time round. You were alert, happy, and looked like you were having an ace time, laughing and joking with Tom Hollands, who came into the checkpoint a few minutes after you. Mine is not really a question, but as Tom Hollands quite rightly announced to everyone whilst you were both at checkpoint 5.5, can it really be a record if you have not breastfed a child in every checkpoint. Team Burness, delighted for you, Jack.
Some of the hallucinations I was having, bloody hell, they were graphic. I can't go into them. There wasn't quite a breastfeeding thing, children, but yeah. That it was different. It was different. I was ruthless. I was sharp. I was ready. And like I said, I realised it was my time, and I was going to protect what I'd built. And then I just obviously I feel like I went to another level over the Cheviots. Yeah, the people at Burness looked after me, got in and out.
They're kind, but they're so rude.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, 29:59, and you're out of there. I had visions when I was in there with Tom, and I realised it was Tom, and I realised the race he was doing. I had visions of sort of running with him on the Cheviots, but I overtook him on the climb, and then he's like, "I can't keep up. I can't run with you." And then I was off. So I went solo up there.
I bet he regrets that now. He's like, I could have been part of Recuperate if I could just get with. Maybe it's his dinner party story now, though. The time Jack Scott ran past him on the Cheviots. Jonathan Zink would like to know. He says, epic achievement. Were there any low points at all?
Yeah, Malum was low. I just didn't let it come. Like I just spoke about a shield. It was deflected. It was recycled and moved away, and like someone on Mario Kart when someone throws like a banana back and you get, I was throwing bananas back today. Take it in and throw it back.
Jonathan Jameson asks, what ended up being we haven't really talked about food much with you, Jack. What ended up being your favourite meal, food over the duration of the event? Did it go to plan, or was nutrition an issue?
Nutrition was an issue, and that is the only thing that was worse than last year. So again, kept it the same, kept it simple. My mum made my food the day before.
Stop it.
Wraps like last year, cheese, pickle.
I remember this, yeah.
Spicy chili ones. I don't know if it was the conditions. It was definitely the pace was an issue. But feeding wasn't good enough, to be honest. The whole race. I mean, maybe getting north of the Hadrian's Wall, I settled and I took stock. But that being said, I remember getting into Langdale Beck, and I was surprised John was still sticking around. John Kelly was running around like a headless chicken, feeding me curry, naan bread, rice, and jacket potato. And he's like, do you want more? Do you want more? Do you want more? I had 3 or 4 sittings. It was a surreal experience. So there was some points where I got a bundle of calories in, but there was issues. There was other times when it was not an option. And I think a race of this length, probably a race of 100 miles as well, Gary, you can relate to this. There is highs and lows of food. And I say to my coaching clients, when you're in a good spell, fill your boots. I filled my boots at Langdon Beck.
Yeah.
And when I was in a bad spell, I guess I had enough in my system to get me through that to the next good spell.
Do you put anything in your water bottles or just have plain water, Jack?
No, I was using Tailwind for this. That worked well in training. And yeah, that worked. So that's the 200 calorie sachets, loads of different flavours. And I think I put that in at every checkpoint, I believe. I'm not sponsored by them. I've used their products for ages and they've worked really well.
It's a good way to get calories in as well when you're not going to be wanting to eat when it's minus 20.
It's so tricky with all the calories because sometimes I think I've had this experience in the past where I was just taking in too many calories and there was never a break. So we talked about on the podcast quite a few times, I've decoupled the calories and the hydration because it was just seemed to overloading the system. Annie Walters got a question there. Did you have any mantras during the spine race?
When I was in a bad spell, right, in training, so psychological warfare, I was speaking to my dog a lot. And I promised my dog I was going to win the race. I remember she was sitting on the end of my bed, I was stroking her little face, and I was like, I'm going to get this home, I'm going to do it. And honestly, I thought about that in the race, zombie state. I thought, you promised your dog this, you can't.
Yeah, too right. You can't. Can you imagine her little face if you went back when you went, I stopped at Malantarn? She'd be like, get out.
You're dead to me.
So I guess that. And then, towards the end of the race, it was trust this. I spoke on Instagram about that 1%. Trust that and risk it and do something drastic. So mantras evolved through the race. And the last one was, it's still not sunk in, but it will be the most satisfying race decision I've ever made to not just drift and take 5 hours off the record, but take 10 hours off it.
You seem very philosophical, Jack. And Ash Harrison's actually asked this question. Have you always been philosophical as a young boy, or is this something you've discovered since endurance running and honed during those long, painful hours of training?
I think it's something I've adapted as I've grown into a man and become a better husband, brother, and son. I think, I am a sponge in life. I take in what I need and I don't take in any more, and I let things that I don't need just pass me by. I don't really read much. I don't really study much. I'm not really an academic, but I think I have something in me which comes out when there's endurance and extreme things involved, and that takes me to somewhere different, I suppose.
Leader on the football pitch as well, weren't you, as a younger man? So yeah, that all plays through. Student of life, definitely. And if you can read people and read situations, that is good.
I think I said this last time, it's the run you don't do that matters. And sometimes it's what you don't say, or sometimes it's when not to say something that matters. I'm just a really simple guy.
What's your dog called, Jack?
Winnie.
Winnie. Oh, yeah. Can we see it? What's it like?
Come on, sweetheart. Come on, then.
Come on, Winnie. It's like that. My dogs are like after 6 p.m. My dogs don't even get up out of the bed. So like they're such good athletes. My dogs, they are done.
Get your normal text on and lie down.
Exactly. Get that foam roller out. Get my protein bonios. And today when I finished my run with them, I was like, "You guys, you're going to go in now and you're going to sleep for the rest of the day, aren't you?" And they were like, "Too right, Mum. We're not stupid. We're going to hear you twittering away for the rest of the day."
There's been loads of other questions, Jack, that we've not got to, but I think, to be honest, looking at them, you've touched on them anyway. So apologies if you've not physically read your question out, but I'm pretty sure Jack has touched on them. But yeah, Helen J asks, will you be looking at the Spine race or maybe one of the other Spine races next year, or any new challenges?
Definitely new challenges, but Spine race, no. I am done unless, I wrote about it today on Instagram, unless someone runs 72.54, I cannot have a day like that ever again. I don't need to go back and win the race multiple times or try and run different times. I've painted my picture there and I'm done with that.
Anything else on the horizon that you want to share, or that you think, I'd like to? It doesn't have to be this year. Something that you'd like to do that might be like, yeah, I'd like to have a crack at that.
I like the idea of that little game that gets played in Tennessee every year. So,
okay.
Yeah.
maybe I can be a contestant of that one day.
You'll be in the loop, Jack. You'll know someone who knows someone.
They've got a WhatsApp group, that lot of them. I know all that sort of stuff. Does something like Western States appeal to you, Jack? More on a course?
Yeah, it does. I want to run a fast 100. I've got my eye on when the Western States golden ticket races are out, but it's released late in the year, so it's released on May the 28th last year, which means you can't really plan your summer to go and do the race. I mean, it's very unlikely one of the races will be in the UK, so it will probably be a UTMB race somewhere in Europe or possibly Asia, or I don't know. So I'd like to see what happens with that. But yeah, I do want to experience a fast 100 miles. I do not know what sort of time I can run, and I want to take myself to America to race, yeah.
Oh, I'd love to go to America to race. Just those checkpoints.
They're different routes, though. It's all sweet, isn't it? We get nice sandwiches.
It's fine. It's fine. I don't mind.
What about comrades, Jack? Was something like that interest you?
Yeah, I guess so. I'm sort of, like we spoke last year about the sort of way I train, the variety and the enjoy. I train to enjoy. I train to enjoy, and that sets me up with a good positive flow. Fitness is built. I don't mind working hard. I've done sessions over the road, like I've said. I can push the race pace on my own. So I feel that's a really good quality to have. Because if you're feeling good and like you can get to that zone on a Tuesday night, and you can, if you're in a good spell, follow your nose and do it. Worry about it after, as in recovery. Change your week, change how it looks. If you're in a good spell and you're doing it, go for it. Fill your boots, because I can guarantee you, if you're in a bad spell, you won't go there. So the two have to be on the same level. If you're struggling, you're like, I cannot do this today. Oh, hang on a minute. I've done, I don't know, you've started a 4 times 9 minute tempo run. After 9 minutes, you're like, whoa, hang on. I might run a 5K PB here. Let's not stop. That's the sort of training mantra I have.
Jack, you were literally by my side on my treadmill today, because I set it up and I was like, I'm going to do 3 by 15 minutes. I started off and I was like, I feel great. I'm not going to break. I'm just going to keep on going and I'm going to grind this out for 45 minutes as a bit of a mental challenge and show myself I can hold this heart rate. And I did that. And I thought, is that good train? It's like what I would advise people to do, but I just felt good. And I felt I like that flexibility that I can do that. And like you said at the time, I was like, see for this tomorrow.
In a race, if you've got a race plan or if you've got a time, if you're feeling good and you haven't followed your nose in training, how are you going to do it in a race?
Yeah.
You're going to restrict yourself in a race. But the only issue with that is, and what I say to my clients and what I say to you is, you have to take responsibility for that the next day. With the things I talk about, add calories, improve hydration, stay off your phone, screen time, and add sleep. Feed what let it sink in and what you've just done, protect that, let it evolve the body, and then move on. There is, you would never do that every time because of how hard it would be. But now you've done it, next time it might be 3 times 18 minutes.
It was 40 minutes, Jack, not 8.
You said 3 times 15 minutes, so...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sorry. I thought you were... I just wanted to check you knew how hardcore I was, okay?
3 times 18 minutes. That's triggering me. That's it.
I am still a bit red from it, It was about 5 hours ago and I'm still...
Gary, you'll have to do that for your marathon block. More than 3 times 18 minutes, I suspect.
Oh, no, I think I did. Well, I did 3 times 15. Eddie just copies my sessions. 3 times 15 minutes, but I had a minute recovery, so that wasn't... Yeah. I just follow a Garmin. I throw it out there every week. I just follow a Garmin plan, whatever that says I do. I pretty much try and do. But yeah, we're definitely going to see you at some fell races, though, Jack. I'm pretty sure you'll be towing the line. Some fell races.
Absolutely.
Let's get deep dive into the quick 5.
Yeah, the quick 5. I've got a veto on one of your answers, Jack. I remembered what you answered the question last year, so you can't do that again. But yeah, first question in the quick 5 is your favourite run workout.
It would be the power hour that I was doing for the spine. So get on the treadmill within 30 seconds, steep as you can, 25% was mine, stick it for an hour, see where you end up. Loads of different paces.
That's awesome. I saw that screen grab on the Innovate blog. And that was to replicate the ratio per distance and the speed.
178 heart rate, which is 10K heart rate for me. So extremely.
Yeah, okay.
And race pace. So 1609 a mile. And it was 3.8 miles, 5,000 foot.
We need better treadmills. Mine only does 15%.
Yeah, mine only does 12. Are you running that 25%?
Yeah, so the peak was around 13 minute miles, which is 7.4 kilometers. So it was like an interval session for an hour, in and out of paces. The slowest was 5.5 kilometers, which is about 17:29 or something like that. So yeah, it's pretty serious, but good for the mind as well. Forget the physical, do hard.
Yeah, para. I did power 40 minutes. I'm going to move it up now. So.
All right. We should do that next week, shouldn't we? Oh, well, no, I'm not going to do it. Guilty TV pleasure, if you have one.
Chris Tarrant Railway Journeys. Love it.
I love a railway journey.
Chris Tarrant, fine. Great.
Michael Portillo, he does a good one.
Oh,
I'm a fan of his politics, but he does a good, he's very good on his railway journeys. Chris Tarrant, I've never seen that. Awesome. Okay, I'm going to write that down. Chris Tarrant. Signature dish, Eddie and I are famished, Jack. We're banging on your door. What are you going to cook?
We've done the para. We've done the para. You made us do it, and now we're starving.
We'll probably get some good quality prawns, some a sachet of rice put some peas in the pan, fry that up, get some eggs in there, egg fried rice, prawns, spicy sauce. That'll do. Simple carbohydrates.
All that protein. You've lost Eddie at the prawns, though. I'll have your prawns.
No, it's okay. I'll have the egg fried rice, and I'm a little bit nervous about the spice after the power with how dehydrated we're going to be, and then he's going to
have a stingray after that one. I shouldn't have said that. As we're going to rewind the years, Jack. As a child or a teenager, who would be on your wall? What posters would you have on your wall?
Ooh, really good question. Probably Ricardo Fuller, Stoke City player, Stoke City legend back in the day, the most exciting footballer I've ever seen. Amazing. Not world class, but for me, just like Harry Potter with his feet.
Yeah, I love that as a child. Many a Sunderland player, never world class. Oh, my goodness me, they were as good as Maradona in my eyes. They were absolutely
like the bounce when I saw him get the ball. Amazing.
Yeah. Oh, I just remember that rush as a kid. Seeing the green pitch for the first time on a Saturday, and then your heroes out on the pitch. Don't
The
get that.
imagination, isn't it? It's like, I do not know what he's going to do here. That's great.
Yeah. Instagram story music. You can't pick Rascal Flats Life is a Highway. That was last year. So any other song, Jack?
I think I'll go Kenny Rogers, Coward of the County, because in my Strava post, I've last time when I put Strava on for the spine, I put sometimes you can, sometimes you can't, and I couldn't last year, and this time, sometimes you got to fight to be a man, and I was fighting some ghosts up on the Cheviot.
Yeah.
That saying means quite a bit to me, to be fair.
Perfect song.
Okay. Well, it means a lot to us, Jack, that you've given up this your evening to talk to us. Thank you so much. Such words of wisdom for Gary. We might not share this podcast. We might just keep it between us, Gary. Well, we will. We will share it to everyone. Huge, massive congratulations. There's not enough words to say congratulations, but I hope the recovery continues to go well and you take your time thinking about what's next. We can't wait to see what's next.
Yeah.
And good luck with the rest of the year. And many, many thanks again for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks, Jack. Take care.
Cheers, guys. Thanks.
What a gent. Late night Zoom call. Yeah, super appreciate you squeezing us in, Jack. And I tried to stay classy to the end there, Eddie, but I think he missed my sting ring comment.
I think he heard, but he was just like, I've had enough of you now, Gary. Really, all I want to do is talk to Eddie, and you just keep
dragging it down.
Dragging it down. But, Jack, we absolutely loved having you on the podcast. I hope your recovery is still going well, and we look forward to seeing you in 2024.
Strava.
Strava, I love my Strava. They're my only friends, my Strava friends.
Joe Turner, 113.8 miles. Private, Joe. Apologies, I can't share.
Why would you run that far and not have a bit of kudos? If I ran 130 miles, I would be putting it everywhere.
Yeah, me too. I would be flexing that mileage everywhere. Richard Gray, just under 20 hours, 19 hours, 55 minutes and 6 seconds. Richard did a Quadzilla, which is the Enigma running group team, whatever it is officially called. But yeah, Quadzilla, 4 marathons in 4 days. I have done an Enigma race, and it was purely because Milton Keynes is quite a trek for me, and it was purely to reach my 50th marathon before somebody else did. I got into this ego race, first to 50.
Gary, pre-podcast, you're a different person. I would love you to do that sort of thing now, because I would rip it out of you.
So basically, I was racing to 50 marathons with a friend, and I wasn't really sure how many he was on, but I knew what I was on, and I knew if I went to Milton Keynes on Wednesday, he couldn't catch me, or Tuesday, Wednesday, doesn't matter. But that's what I did. But it was meant to be. It was fate, because unknown to them, it was my 50th marathon. I've shared this story before, so apologies, listeners.
No, I've never heard it.
Okay, but out of nowhere, they produced number 50 for me, and I just thought, who's told you this is my 50th marathon? Nobody knew or anything. It was just meant to be. I was number 50. And what I loved also, they reminded me, my little Northeast Marathon Club friends, a group of people up in the Northeast who just run marathons for the love of it. It was like they'd transported them down to Milton Keynes. It was obviously different people, but the same bunch of personalities.
Oh, I love that.
And if you are, if you are chasing numbers and you just love running marathons, then 4 marathons in 4 days is a very friendly and supportive way to rack up those 26.2 miles. Yeah. Well done, Richard. Neil McClure, 18,191 feet. Pretty sure Neil doing Dragon's Back race recce. So yeah, super exciting times, Neil. Loads of fun in the mountains to come. Oh, I'm a bit envious when I see that.
Gary,
yeah, awesome.
Gary, I've just had a thought. When we do our recce, I think we might go up that leaderboard.
I don't know. Let's see.
Don't tell anybody. And we won't load it. We won't load it until you're going to check it.
Kudos to all our Strava Club members. It is so inspiring seeing you show up day after day.
I had a little whine last week, didn't I? That nobody recognised my weight training efforts. I had quite a few people
Kudos.
saying, kudos, amazing, you're so strong. Oh, you're thanks, guys. I felt like, when you've asked for something, I feel like, do you really think that? Are you just being kind?
It's nice, a boost. I didn't give you kudos.
No, but then I don't actually look to see who gives me kudos because I don't have time to often, I think I'd need to give more kudos, but I like to share my kudos button for kudos. So when I give it, it's kudos. My thumb is not free. It just costs time, Gary. Oh my God, come on, let's move on. Deals from the tree.
No. I'll say this bit.
No.
It's mine.
Oh.
Tales from the trails.
Am I allowed to say this bit, or is it just you that says this bit too? Jeez.
Proceed.
We thought we'd grab a few things from Facebook this week from our deals from the drills. So here we go. Lauren Pennock. She represented at the Hardmoor Saltburn Half. 5 months, 5-month post-back surgery. She was super happy to get round in a similar time to her previous runs at this event. Whoa, you've done well. She was also, and her mates, rocking some pretty cool skorts.
Yes.
There's some thought. More thought had gone into their outfits than my poor little girl's ice skating outfit. You guys looked good. Lots of folks out there representing, even when injured with your buffs. Oh, it makes me really sad when people put on Facebook that they're not listening to the podcast because they're injured and it's too close to the heart. So if you are injured and you are listening, this is for you. This is why we do it. Not these guys out on their long runs, 20-year-olds skipping around fancy free, popping home for a Costa and then a nap afterwards. That's you guys. You got it easy. You got injured. You're busy. We're here for you.
We'll show up if we're injured too. The pledge.
Well, Eddie's had a roller coaster of terrible times, and if you are injured, keep going. Do your rehab, do your stretching, sit on the sofa, watch Netflix, watch us on YouTube, watch Gary's YouTube videos. That'll make you feel better.
Why would that make you feel better? Because my videos are
feel better about yourself, yes. You just watch Gary and go, look, I'm not a middle-aged man running around with my little legs around.
Embarrassing when you put it like that.
Oh, I'm just teasing.
Nice to see some spine entries too. Yeah, good luck with all that. It's super exciting. And some people should know better because they've done super big, long races too. But they're not. For ignorance is not a bliss anymore. But best of luck. Yeah, best of luck, Nick Stevenson. Woof. And we'll go back to actually people who aren't running at the moment. Hope you are not on the sidelines too long, Susan. But thanks for repping the merch too. Did you say this is not one of our listeners? Maybe he is actually. Did you say?
What? He's over on the Facebook group.
If you are listening, Eliud Kipchoge, yeah. But what I thought I'd mention this. I know there's no context to the Facebook post or the workout they were doing, but we talk quite often about lifting heavy, maybe not many reps. Your strength and conditions quite different to mine currently. But there was some footage of Eliud Kipchoge and Faith Kipyegon, and they were just like doing abductor exercises. Crikey, I don't know how many reps they did. So I didn't know if that was actually, is this what Kipchoge does? Because then that goes completely against what I'm hearing time and time again on podcasts. And arguably, well, he is the GOAT, and he is doing very different exercises to what I would do. So that made me think. And also, I suppose, I remember Trish said once, just doing anything is better than nothing. I think when I listen to Coopcast, his school of thought is don't do endurance in the gym, because you do plenty of that when you run.
Exactly. Yeah. Maybe you need to reach out to Kipchoge and say this to him. You seem to be doing. He's not a middle-aged woman with having had 3 children, trying to keep his bone density up. He's giving you a little, as with all these things, when you see elite athletes, they're giving you a little snapshot into their life. Who knows what was created for social media and what they actually do as well. But whatever he does, I'll have a bit of it.
Also, I saw in our group there was a food bank run February. If you'd like to get involved with that, scroll down through the group, or even maybe search for Sarah Don. She has posted some information and a link down there. So if you'd like to get involved, with something that sounds like an awesome, good cause, super tough out there. I think, I don't want to get too political, but it just blows my mind that in this country, we're having food banks and they're going up. And some politicians champion the opening of food banks as if it's a positive thing. It absolutely horrifies me. But yeah, if you're interested in that, search our group for Sarah Dunn. Lots of information there.
It horrifies me as well when I've just been talking about my lucky children having all these opportunities and there's kids that don't have meals, and you think I'm worrying about, it's bonkers what my life is wrong.
We are a rich country and we can find money for things, but we can't find money for other things. I don't understand it. We've got no 5-star reviews.
What? We've never had no 5-star reviews. Is this the start, Gary, of our demise? Do you want me to give you a 5-star review?
Yes, please.
Dear Gary, I love everything about you, but most of all, I love the way that you never stress when I say, sorry, I can't do it at this time. Please change it. You never say, Eddie, it's not all about you. You go, no probs, Eddie. And when I don't do any of the work that you set me to do, you go, no probs, Eddie. I just like hanging out. No probs, Eddie. I just like hanging out on Zoom with you.
Yeah.
Thank you for all that you...
It's a joy.
It can't be a joy. Thank you for all that you do in the background, Gary. You do a lot. I love it. I appreciate you. You're a legend. Keep doing what you're doing. And if you don't get your marathon time, don't worry. It'll be great content for the podcast when you have to walk the last 10K. We'll love it. We'll love you.
Oh, back at you, Eddie. Appreciate that.
You can't give me a 5-star review. That's it. Sand. Done. From Eddie, ed123 at gmail.com.
Sometimes you have got to just take a compliment, haven't you? You've got to take a compliment.
Take it. You're the best. I should have just said that. You're the best. 5-star review.
5-star.
5 stars. Anyway, send them in. If you send one in, you're going to get it read out next week, guaranteed. Oh my God, really influxed with them. We love reading them. Keep them coming. So yeah, pop over to Apple Podcast.
I only check Apple. Apologies for Spotify.
I think they all go there, though. I think they all go there, don't they?
I don't know.
We don't know. But yeah, pop over to Apple and put those 5 stars in. You can do it, guys. You can do it. Competition. You want to win? You want to win? Oh, yeah.
Hopefully our two...
Shall I stop?
Angela will complain.
She won't like that. The clicking fingers. She'll think someone's triggering the gun behind them. She's been watching too much Slow Horses. We are just on the last ever episode of Slow Horses. We were going to watch it, but it was 10 o'clock at night, Gary. You can't start a new episode. That was dangerous. We were so close to like, shall we just push through? And I was like,
is there a season 2 lined up?
No, this is season 4, Gary. We're done 4.
I'm well out.
We have done 4, and this is a lot. It's so good.
Oh, it must be good. 4 seasons. You know, literally the numbers talk, and if there's 4 seasons out there, then bums don't seem to watch it.
But then if I look at something and it's got like 20 seasons, I'm like, I can't get invested in that. That is too long. That's hours of my time. I'm too behind. I can't do that. I'm sticking with the Kardashians. I know where I'm at. I'm comfortable.
Surely.
Anyway, competition time.
Yeah, hopefully both of our Shocks headphone winners have their lovely bits of Shock headphones. Yeah, super pleased that people got involved with that. And thanks everyone who did. And thanks for sharing your picks. Yeah, thanks. Just all around big thanks for sharing your support this week. Can I say thanks anymore? This week, or maybe for the next couple of weeks, it's a big bobble hat competition. Yeah, they've kindly supplied the prizes. You don't need to do anything. Super simple. All you need to do is be a paid up member of Patreon at the legend level or above. And I'm going to spin the wheel of fortune 18th of February, 7 p.m. ish.
Loads of time.
There'll be 2 winners. 2 winners.
2 winners. Do we know what hat they're getting, or are they going to choose, or what's the deal?
I think they can choose whatever hat they want.
Also talking about that, a few points on people saying, when do I get my snood? So we send them out when you've very kindly been in Patreon for 6 months, but you must have got your address in the Patreon site. You can only do that via the computer. You can't do it by the app on your phone. So pop on to over there and check in your settings that your address is there. Gary does all that sorting of that, the posting, the addressing to people. He doesn't have time to chase you up. If your address is not in there, you won't get a you won't get your little prezi. So make sure your address
Sound
is
like
in
a
there.
school teacher, Eddie.
Well, I'm just like, come on. This is like.
Also, I have to say there are some people out there who have been members for longer than 6 months, so that's my bad. It's basically when we get to the end of the month, there's some money on Patreon. We can pay for the bubble hats.
What we're saying is, though we sound very professional, this is not a professional out. We don't have someone organizing our merch. It's done from Gary's bedroom.
Oh, the dream.
So you just, we're really sorry if either it's late, you've been waiting, but what we ask is just pop your address in there. We fully love you all, but it might not be exactly. And if your address is in there and it's been 24 months and you still haven't got your little present, then yes, chase that Gareth Thwaites up and I'll give him a slap round the chops.
So I'm sure, some people might be thinking, oh, where's my snood? But I probably have sent it. And definitely one, actually. One Patreon did not receive their snood, even though I did post
but
it.
the postman is super warm, very happy.
But talking about merch, this is exactly why the guys over at Summit Crazy do the other merch, because otherwise it would be chaos.
I'm so glad you're in charge of it, Gary. Please don't make me do it. What's occurring?
Well, hopefully another YouTube review will be out this week. I've done all those in the know.
Only pray.
More legs. I'll get the legs out again. Shorts, slow motion on the...
Oh, Lord. We've created a monster.
For those people in the know, I've created the B-roll. I just got to do the to-camera piece. But it's a Scott Super Track Speed RC. I might wear them for cross-country on Saturday, actually, instead of the Spikes, because they're a fell running shoe. So pretty aggressive sole. Look pretty tasty too. The Scott design team always seem to do good design. Also, cross country on Saturday too, if they can allow vehicles on and off the surface. It's basically a farm, so there's a bit of hard standing, but the rest of it is farmers field. And like I said the other week, all those Audis and BMWs, they ain't getting off. And I am. Thornley is a tough course, and it's cattle on there a lot of the year, so they churn it up, and in the winter it's just a complete mess. I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty scared. My training for the week is I've got a steady run, like I suppose marathon pace, about 6 miles at marathon pace. Then there is some kilometers, I think 6 times a K, but there's also a threshold run in there, which is only supposed to be half an hour. So this will replace, I'll do a 45-minute threshold run. threshold class. It's super close to me. Thornley Farm is just a 3 mile run, so I'll run down there. Go and get muddy for an hour and then jog back. That is about as much as I'm going to share for now. What about yourself?
Ooh, that sounds mysterious. If you've got really exciting plans and you're like going to the disco or something.
I've oversold that. No.
I'm getting back into routine this week, catching up on life. Oh my God, I say quite a few words. Then as we're recording this, my phone, this is giving me anxiety. It's going ding, ding, ding. We've changed the time of the races. We're changing that. We're now going to race first thing in the morning. You need to be there at 7 a.m. And I'm like, what world can I now like manage that? And do they not know I'm trying to train for the Northern Traverse?
Yeah.
Anyway, these people. But my new laid back, laissez-faire attitude is going to help me this week. I'm going to get it done, what I can do. I'm on a new strength regime this week. Oh my God. My God, Gary. From
the same person.
Yes, my lovely strength coach, but he's just changed it. We had a chat. Like I was like, I don't find it that hard. The strength. He must be like, this woman is mad. I don't find the strength work. Like I find it hard, but mentally it's just really boring. I was like, oh, perhaps I shouldn't be saying this to you.
Yes,
I was fine. It's so boring the more amount you give me. So yesterday it was so hard. The closing exercises, I had to use my labor breathing to breathe through the pain. These squats. I was like, just shut my eyes and go. your happy place, Eddie. Today I did feel like, and then I was going to do a recovery bike in the evening. Then everything went wrong and I didn't. But actually, and then today when I was jogging with the dogs, I was like, oh yeah, my knees. I can feel it today. Feel it. But it's all good, Gary. It's all good. I feel much more comfortable. I've done like 6 weeks proper strength work, and now I'm upping it again for one more block, and then I'll take it down. When I do my couple of like for the recce, and then I'll do a couple of like really long days out, and so that week I'll start taking the strength down. But I feel like I feel like I can get through the strength work and walk away from it slightly less battered and bruised than I did before. So
I love it.
Yeah, it's feeling good. And I'm gonna, as I said at the beginning of the podcast, I'm gonna do what I can do. It's not gonna be perfect. It's gonna be nowhere near what I want to do as a high achieving person in everything that I want to do. I want to do everything to my best, and I can't do that, and that upsets me.
Where do you think you're at? Are you a C plus? Did you say a little assessment?
I'm a D. I'm a happy D. I'm right at the bottom of the class. So I'm just going to keep trying to do what I can do and not take it all too seriously. It doesn't matter. I'll do what I can do.
You'll have loads more fun.
I'll have loads more fun by sleeping 10 hours every night. So I will try and get in my sessions. But the extra bits, the strength, the non-negotiables, the strength and the sessions, and any extras I get in will be done. There is some snow on the forecast, which could be a change because I've sort of got used to like it being March now and running around. There's still a lot of ice. I had a few yesterday. Annoying thing is my marvelous North Face ones that I know I got on that I love. The lugs are still really, really good. Often I wear down my lugs on my Scots. Yeah. I wore down my lugs before the shoe I felt had worn out. My North Face, the lugs are still really good, but that sticky bit of it has gone. So on ice, they are on something like. And that's annoying. I don't know, maybe there's a way I almost want to sandpaper them to get to get that little bit of extra stickiness back. Somebody will message me with the answer for that. So yeah, I'm just going to turn up this week, do the sessions, keep going with a smile on my face, Gary. And inside I'll be going, I'm joking. I'm just going to enjoy it, Gary. I'm going to enjoy it. Take the pressure off and just enjoy training, which is what we should all do. Just enjoy the training. Not get so stressed about it.
True. Oh, I've got to say something. I can't remember who was it was you. I'm going to throw you under a bus. The wild weighing in the Facebook group. You could get some of our listeners into trouble with their local authorities, or you could end up in the Guardian. I saw a Guardian article about 2 people being prosecuted for wild weighing.
And I have to say, men, you are terrible. You think it's okay to get your aubergine out at all places, at all times. It doesn't matter. Side of the road. If I'm facing away, nobody can see. We all know what you're doing, and I don't want to see a penis before my breakfast. So just take yourself into a verge behind a tree. I don't get my foo-foo out on the side of the road.
Have I got this wrong? I'm sure I heard somewhere that if you needed to, say you were driving and you needed a wee, you could wee against your rear wheel. That wasn't kind of facing traffic.
I would struggle. I would have to launch my butt cheeks against that rear wheel. Choose your venues. I've got the best wild wee on Friday when I lift my social media ban. I'm sorry. If you've got Mont Blanc in your wild wee view, I trump everybody this week. Oh. And there's nothing more satisfying than weeing on snow when it makes a little hole. And it makes it all yellow.
Well, be careful, listeners. They might have a man from the council hiding in the bushes, just ready to pounce.
Grab your aubergine. Right, that's it. Another show in the bank. Thanks for staying to the end. Thank you to Precision Fuel and Hydration for sponsoring the show. Don't forget, use your code CAPSLOCK24 for 15% off. Thanks to our partners and patrons too. We, of course, couldn't do this without you and your ongoing support. Raise your shields, everybody. Just like Jack. Be kind to your future self. Breathe, believe, progress. That's my big one this week. Putting my shield up. Progress, not perfection. Don't forget, like, subscribe, follow, share, and leave us a review. Do it. If people might be going to sleep listening to this, so we'll just go 5-star review. 5-star review, and they'll wake up and they'll be going, I heard this strange voice in the night.
I listened to a podcast when I was dropping off, and wow, I had quite an amazing experience as I was drifting into slumber. It was awesome. I could just feel myself going to sleep. It was sensational. I absolutely loved it. I can't remember what podcast it was now, but yeah.
I have one podcast that I always listening to go to sleep. It's just a talking one because I don't like it when there's laughter or it's funny because that sort of wakes me up. I like a calm. I listen to this one woman and she just talks and her voice just makes me like, I honestly sometimes don't get past the Spotify introduction. I'm like,
yeah.
I'm out of here.
Well, this was on psychology because we have had a sports psychologist on the show. So I thought I should do some research. And yeah, it just sent me into a sensational slumber. Anyway, whatever you're doing, keep sharing those running pics. I really love our group when I see all the running pics. And yeah, be careful if you're out there having a wild wee. You might end up the wrong side of the law. And yeah, depending on your political stance, you might end up in the Guardian. That might be good or a bad thing. I don't know. And don't be an animal. I've seen some people sharing stories of people having poos, but not discreetly. Don't be that guy.
No. Oh.
But whatever you do, keep listening to the UK's #1 trail run podcast and then warm yourself up with your favourite brew. My name is Gary Thwaites.
And I'm Eddie Sutton.
And that was episode 58 of the Tea and Trails podcast.